150. Do you want
video of a vendor's reaction to a trade I made with kids back in March,
do you want to just trade these two for the Gengar?
claiming that I'm a con man who scammed them with a fake card.
How much do you say that was? Like prices right now?
It's $150.
I want to address this directly.
What did you trade Jason Paige for?
It's a graded design card, but it's not.
I'd have the same reaction if I heard it scammed, but here's what the vendor's video didn't show you.
Oh, wait. You traded the Gengar I gave you to Jason Paige?
I understand your anger when seeing and hearing all of this.
That matter. Good. You did that trade. Now tell me, you think I should go back?
The truth is,
First, this looked like a simple card show controversy. Just two kids, a Japanese Gengar, a Pokemon vendor, and Jason Paige, the original singer of the Pokemon theme song. But the deeper I looked into it, the more complicated it got. This situation is not just about one trade. It's about card value, autograph value, damaged card collecting, kids trading at shows, vendor ethics, social media outrage, and how fast one clip can completely take over a community. Before we get into anything else, I want to make this very clear. This video is not me picking a side, and I am not here to say who is right or who is wrong, or who had bad intentions. My one and only goal for this documentary is to break down what happened, what each side has said publicly, why the community is so divided, and where the situation currently stands at the time I'm filming this. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get straight into it. So to truly understand why this blew up the way it did, you have to understand who the two main people involved are. On one side, you have Jason Paige, and if you grew up watching Pokemon, you already know his voice, even if you don't know his name. And that's because Jason Paige is the original singer of the English Pokemon theme song, which has become one of the, if not the most iconic songs connected to an entire franchise. On the other side of things, we have boosters and bangers, also known as B&B Collectibles. The person behind it all is Brian, more specifically Brian Kuznets, who is also the lead vocalist of the rock band Fame on Fire. So he's not just a Pokemon vendor, but he's also an entertainer and musician himself. Fame on Fire is a rock band from Palm Beach, Florida, that started getting traction through heavy rock covers before moving more into original music. Brian has been listed as the band's vocalist since the band formed in 2013. In the Pokemon space, Boosters and Bangers is known for vendor-style content, buying, selling, trading, filming booth interactions, and showing the business side of card shows. So that's why the situation is already so layered. You have Jason Paige, who is a musician tied directly to Pokemon's history, and Brian from Boosters and Bangers, who is another musician who also built a Pokemon vendor/content brand. And the reason these two worlds collided was because of a Japanese Gengar card at Orlando Collecticon. Now that we know who the two main people are, we need to go back to where the whole situation actually started. According to the original Boosters and Bangers video, two kids came up to his table looking to trade. The older brother had pulled out a card that B&B said was worth around $440, and B&B ended up giving him around $380 cash for it. We see him offering strong percentages, negotiating with them, and the whole interaction seemed pretty positive. Later in the video, we see the younger brother coming back and wanting to trade, and this is where the Japanese Gengar card enters the story. The kid sees the Japanese Gengar at B&B's table and asks how much it is. B&B states that the card is $150 and the kid clearly wants it. B&B offers to trade the Gengar for the cards that the kid had, and the kid accepts the trade. At this point, based on the original clip alone, the audience is being shown a pretty simple story. B&B gave this kid a Gengar that he said was worth $150. According to the clip, the kids come back to B&B's table and they traded the Gengar to Jason Paige for a graded signed card. B&B immediately reacts like they made a bad trade, calls the card fake, and says Jason Paige is a con artist. And that reaction alone sent the whole situation viral.
hello internet. I've seen what's circulating, a video of a vendor's reaction to a trade I made with kids back in March, claiming that I'm a con man who scammed them with a fake card.
Almost immediately, Jason's response starts by addressing the biggest accusation directly, that he scammed the kids with a fake card. And to be fair, he does not ignore why people are upset. He basically says, I understand why people reacted this way, and that if you hear that kids are being taken advantage of, it's basically instinct to protect them, and that whole idea just makes sense. But then Jason Paige continues to say that the original video did not show the full story. According to Jason, the card he traded was not a fake card. He describes it as a custom AGS AGS promo card that was signed, inscribed, authenticated, and graded. Which leads us to our first major disagreement, because already we see two opposing sides, with Jason's side saying that this was not fake and that it was a custom promo with his autograph and grading attached to it. Other people in the Pokemon community are saying things like, even if it is not technically fake, it is still not an official Pokemon TCG card from the Pokemon company, and people feel like that makes its value way harder to compare it to a real vintage Gengar. So already, before we even get into the dollar amounts, both sides are looking at this card completely differently.
The one on the AGS card was the $100 full autograph. There was an inscription from me on that card, which I charged $25 for, graded by AGS. Cost about $18. $5 card, $125 autograph, $18 grading costs. We're at $148 plus whatever the shipping costs might be for you.
So that is Jason's math. He is saying the card was worth around $148 because the promo card itself is about $5. On top of that, he said his full autograph is $100, the inscription is $25, and the grading fee is around $18. And this is where a huge part of the debate actually starts, because at this point, Jason is valuing the card based on what it would cost someone at his booth to create that item. But critics are looking at it differently. They're saying just because someone charges $100 for a signature, that does not automatically mean that signed item is worth $100 more on the resale market. And that distinction is honestly really important. There's a difference between what something costs at a convention table and what that same thing would actually sell for later. So Jason's side is basically saying this card has value because of the autograph, the inscription, the grading, and the limited promo aspect. But the other side is saying that still does not make it the same as trading for a real Pokemon card with an actual market history. And honestly, that is just the first major value debate in this whole situation.
This is my last Pokémon. Go Gengar!
This is the card the kids traded with me. There's a video of the kids holding up this exact card. You can't see it very clearly, but here's a screenshot of that video. The vendor is also posting a screenshot of a Gengar card in his video, but it's not the photo of this actual card we traded, it's just something he grabbed from somewhere else. In the card world, the condition of a card determines its value above almost everything else. The kids were told by this vendor that this card was worth $150. Now, let me show you this card. This is an ungraded Gengar Japanese fossil. At first glance, the condition looks like a heavily played HP at best, clearly, but when you zoom in, you can see the ding here, the scratch there, there's scratches everywhere, another ding over there, the top of the card, the foil is sticking out almost on all of the edges of the card. There's a whole bunch of scrapes on the bottom. This thing is scraped more than any other Gengar that I have seen.
And this is where the story completely changes. Because up until this point, the internet was reacting to the idea that these kids traded away a clean $150 Gengar card. But once Jason showed the actual card, it became clear that this was not a clean vintage Gengar. This card had scratches, dings, edge wear, foil wear, and it was just heavily damaged. And that matters, because in Pokemon, as you know, condition is everything. A near mint vintage Gengar and a damaged vintage Gengar are not the same thing. They might be the same Pokemon, the same artwork, the same set, but the market value can be completely different. So now the entire conversation shifts. At first, people were asking, did Jason Paige trade a fake card for a $150 Gengar? But after this response, people started asking a different question. Was the Gengar ever actually worth $150 in the first place? And eventually, boosters and bangers responded to that exact point.
Well, Jason Paige, you got me. That Gengar is the Gengar I gave the kids, and yes, it is damaged. That is the Gengar that I gave the kids. No, he did not damage it. No, he did not alter it in any way.
And this part is important because boosters and bangers confirms two major things. One, Jason did show the correct Gengar. And 2, Jason did not damage or alter the card. So at this point, the conversation is no longer about whether Jason ruined the card or switched the card out. Both sides are now talking about the same damaged Gengar. The debate becomes, what was that damaged Gengar actually worth? And that is where Boosters and Bangers gives his explanation.
The value of what Jason Paige has given it is kind of wrong. Now, I know not everybody's going to understand this, and that's okay. I'm going to explain this in the best way I can, and I'll explain it in the same way that I explained it to the father when I gave the kids this card. This Gengar is so damaged that, believe it or not, it would grade at a PSA 1. Actually, you probably do believe that. Now, here's the funny thing about a PSA 1. A PSA 1 of this card is actually valued at about $300 right now.
And this is where a lot of people started pushing back from Boosters and Bangers. Because even though PSA 1 collecting is a real niche in the hobby, basically everyone started saying that you cannot price a raw damaged card like it is already graded PSA 1. That is the gamble. A PSA 1 Gengar might have a certain market, but the card was not graded yet. It was still raw, and when a card is raw, there's no guarantee that PSA is going to give it the exact grade you think it deserves. It could grade higher than a 1. It could grade differently than expected. It could even get flagged if PSA thinks the damage looks altered or intentional. So the criticism was basically this. B&B was pricing the Gengar based on what it could maybe become, not what it actually was in that moment. And this is where the story takes another turn, because after all the criticism, Boosters and Bangers posted a new video taking accountability for that exact point.
Well, that video sucked. And you guys are right. Pricing a card based off of PSA 1 values when it's not a graded PSA 1 card, it's just bad vendor practice. My ignorance at the time didn't know that, so I grossly miscomped that card, and I thought it was worth $150. It turns out it's only worth half of that.
So that's where the story stands right now. A damaged Gengar, a Jason Paige signed card, a viral accusation, a response video, and now B&B admitting the card was mispriced from the start. I'm not here to tell you who to side with, but this whole situation proves one thing. When kids, vendors, celebrities, cameras, and card values all collide, things can get messy really fast. At the end of the day, this hobby should be fun, especially for the kids. So know your comps, know what you're trading for, and when kids are involved, everybody needs to move better. This is TCGATL, and I'll see y'all in the next one.
I came up with